Good morning. It is 10 o'clock on the 10th, I think, yes, of September. And this is the video that should have happened yesterday. Unfortunately, I had some slight technical issues with my Wi-Fi and all such, so I couldn't do a broadcast, and I was at home most of the day with Jacob. So sorry about that. So this is yesterday's day 3 video, and what I want to talk to you today is about calories and macros and understanding the difference between calories and macros. And the reason why this video is so important and why it's on day 3 is that calories are the major driver for fat loss. Now, if you've watched day 1 and you've done your little sheet with your star chart and everything else, you should hopefully be aware that by taking out some items and giving yourself stars, you're starting to reduce calories in your diet. Now, this is the most important thing to remember, is that it's always, if we're talking about fat loss, it's always about how many calories you eat, and you need to create a calorie deficit, and a calorie deficit is where you eat less than what you expend. So the energy that you burn running around, sitting down, eating your food, exercising in the gym, that's all calories out, and then calories in is the food that you eat or that you drink, because calories are in drinks as well, and that the calories in has to be less than calories out. The net result is a calorie deficit, and if you have a calorie deficit, your body has to burn body fat in order to maintain the energy expenditure that you're demanding of it. So that's the reason why we started, and I didn't say, oh, let's look at macros, let's look at this, that, the other, because macros are completely irrelevant when it comes to fat loss. Now, it is important to have a certain macro split, and I'll come on to that in a minute, but for fat loss, they are largely irrelevant. Now, there has been a lot of very, very popular and very well-documented cases, and I list them all in the Target Lean book, but I'll run over a few here. So there's people who've done McDonald's diet. So if you remember Super Size Me, that guy just ate loads of McDonald's in a calorie surplus and got fat and had medical problems. Okay, that's because he ate too much calories and got medical problems because he got fat. There was another one, a guy who did the McDonald's study but ate in a calorie deficit and exercised and followed a normal sort of healthy lifestyle, but most of his food came from McDonald's, and he lost body fat and he improved his health markers. So there's a sort of a trade-off there. It's not always about the food that you eat, it's sometimes about the calories. So both times they were eating McDonald's, one was in a surplus, one was in a deficit. In the deficit, lost weight, improved health markers. In a surplus, got fat and had loads of real health issues. Then we've got the Twinkie diet, which was a professor in America did this. I did list it in the book, I can't remember his name, but he ate basically only Twinkies and basically stuff that you can get from a garage forecourt. Ate in a deficit, lost weight, improved his health markers. Then we've got the ice cream diet. Guy ate ice cream predominantly as part of his nutrition, ate in a calorie deficit, lost weight, improved his health markers. And there's a few others as well, which I can't remember now. But the overwhelming fact here is that if you eat less calories and you lose weight, because you've lost body fat, there are health markers related to losing body fat, such as lower blood pressure, such as lower cholesterol, such as liver and kidney issues because of fatty liver and stuff like that. So although it's not healthy to eat McDonald's every day, all day, or ice cream every day, all day, those studies are almost proving a point, is that people say, oh, that food is unhealthy for you, and actually it's not really, because the health markers did improve. Now, if you don't, and this is where we come on to macros, so if you don't eat enough protein, you're potentially setting yourself up for immune system issues and muscle wastage issues and problems with recovering from colds and viruses and stuff like that, and also digesting food and producing enzymes and potentially having issues with gut bacteria. If you don't eat enough healthy fats, you potentially end up with skin and hair problems, issues with forming bile in the liver, bile in the body to help digest fats, and also you end up with issues such as cell membranes, which it might sound like a minor issue, but actually it means that you potentially have a higher risk of developing things like cancers and stuff like that. That's not proven, it's just there's links, okay? And then if you don't eat enough carbohydrates, potentially you're limiting your energy output. So you can't exercise as much as you want to. And carbohydrates are muscle sparing. So if you eat carbohydrates, you potentially offset muscle damage or muscle wastage from being in a high calorie deficit. So there's reasons why you need certain macros, and people will say you don't need carbohydrates. Yeah, okay, you don't really need carbohydrates in your diet, but it does make things a lot nicer and a lot easier if you do have carbohydrates in your diet. So calories first for fat loss, and then we've got potentially macros in order to maintain a good, lean, healthy body. But losing body fat in itself is a healthy endeavor. So this is why we didn't talk about macros right at the start of the challenge. I just wanted to make sure everybody was starting to reduce their calories so that you could start to see a reduce in body fat, and so then you can start to see potentially an increase in your health. And it's only 3 days in, so you're probably not seeing that much yet. But what I have seen from people who are doing the challenge is they're starting to think like a leaner person. They're starting to have that motivation and that drive to be a leaner, healthier person. And this is really, really important, because you're not going to see fat loss really noticeably in 3 days. But what I have seen from people doing the challenge and getting on, doing their stars and doing their restrictions and everything else, they are incredibly motivated. So they're now on this road towards being a healthier person. And if you hadn't done the challenge, you would still be on the road that you were before. And that's where you were going before. So if you were just overeating or unhealthy endeavors, then you would still be on that road. Just by making these slight diversions, by restricting 1 or 2 items or 3 items a day, thinking about the votes that you can make for a leaner lifestyle, you're starting to change your trajectory ever so slightly. Now, okay, when you start from a journey, think about a plane on a journey. If you're 1 degree off when you start a journey, you're only going to be that much off. But if 1 degree off adds up over time, you're going to make sure you're in a different position at the end. So we only need to make very small changes and follow those changes to make big ultimate changes or ultimate results at the end. So it's not about, let's just eat vegan, or let's just eat greens, or let's cut out carbs, or those are very extreme changes. Those are like 30-degree changes, which are really difficult because your body knows it's on a different trajectory. So it generally tends to fight back. Your mind tends to fight back. The small things that we've started to change, those are the things that the body's quite comfortable doing and your brain's quite comfortable doing. And actually, from what I've seen, a lot of people's brains are now on board with this. So yeah, let's make these changes. Let's be healthy, because it's easy. It's perceived as easy to do these things. So that's why we started off just doing the minor adjustments and doing the vote sheet. But I think it is important to make people aware, make you aware right at the beginning of this challenge that it's about calories for fat loss, but macros can help you with maintaining a healthier and more optimal lifestyle. Now, to help you understand this better, I've built a calorie calculator. So what you can do, the link should be in the comments below. If you're watching this back on YouTube, it's going to be in the summary items below, in the little text below. Now, if you go to that calorie calculator, it'll ask you for some of your personal details. All you need to do is put those details in, and then it will give you its estimated calories for fat loss. Now, this is an estimated amount. It's based on the information you put in. So if you don't put in your activity, for example, correctly, then it might give you a result which won't give you a fat loss result. So you've got to be honest with yourself. If you sit at your desk all day and don't do anything really all day, and then you go to the gym and do half an hour's cardio, you're not going to be highly active. So you need to make sure that your job that you put in is sedentary, and that your workouts per week are low. And I would always err on the low side, because if you go higher, obviously there's a chance of being in a surplus. You go lower, you can always increase it if you need to. And the calculator will give you a result, which you can then take, and it'll give you your calories for fat loss, and it'll also give a proposed macro split for fat loss. So I don't want you to worry too much about the macro split at the moment. Just get the calories, so you've got it in your head, right, that's around about what I need to eat for weight loss. Now, I still, this week, want you to get on and do your restrictions, your star challenge. That's still the main task of the week, and to log the votes for the leaner lifestyle. what we're doing today is just making you aware about what calories are, what macros are, and I'm going to develop that further as we go through the 21 days. But just today as an exercise, go in, just so you know how many calories you should be eating for fat loss, and potentially how much protein, carbs and fats you should be incorporating in your diet for a healthy, leaner lifestyle. Okay, I'll leave that there today. If you're watching this back, please comments below. Keep posting in the group with your updates and your stars and everything else, because it is what you put in is what you get out. If you're a silent watcher, if you're just watching this back, then you might not be that motivated to do stuff. Start writing stuff down, start being accountable, start documenting what you're doing, and it becomes almost like well, that is a vote for a leaner lifestyle. If you've posted in the group to say that this is what you're doing and this is what you have done, you've announced the fact that you've made a healthier choice for yourself. That's a positive vote. You know, don't keep it to yourself. And also, if you've got some issues which you're facing, which you need help with, post that as well, because that's what the challenge is all about. It's not always going to be 100%. It's not always going to be fly by night. Oh yes, this is awesome. There's going to be some issues, especially as we get on to say week 2 or whatever. Okay, let's have a look. Kimber. So I sit at a desk all day and I do 30 minutes of hula hooping or swimming Monday to Friday. Is that low activity? I would say 30 minutes. I think the calorie calculator says how many times you do 30 minutes of exercise per day. So if you're doing that Monday to Friday, it'd be 5. But I would potentially be, because hula hooping isn't resistance exercise, so potentially it's just based on cardio. So you might want to just, when the figure comes back, you might want to just adjust it slightly down by 100 or 200 calories, depending. But saying that, why don't you try it and see if it's working for you? If you're just maintaining or the loss is very slow, you might want to drop it a little bit. Obviously, if you're gaining, then it's not a deficit. So I would just trial and error that one and see, because I'm not sure how intense your hula hooping is. It might be extreme hula hooping. So you make your own judge for that. If you're out of breath and you're really tired at the end and you're sweating and you've done a lot, then potentially it's quite a high intensity activity. The way you could know for sure is to use something like a MyZone belt. So I use my MyZone belt whenever I exercise, and that gives me an accurate readout of the calories I burn. And if you're burning over 400 calories per 30 minutes, that's quite substantial. So so if you want to measure it, I would get one of those MyZone belts. If you haven't got one, I've got a link to get you like £60 off a MyZone belt. So if you want that, just let me know, and I'll put it in the comments below. Right, so thanks for watching. This will be posted back on YouTube, and it'll also be on in the Facebook group. Kimber, I'm maintaining. Okay, so you might want to just drop it down slightly, or increase the amount of hula hooping you're doing. So say 40 minutes instead of 30. Remember, it's all about calories out or calories in. If you don't want to drop your food anymore, put some more calories out in there. 20 calories in 30 minutes minimum. Yeah, so if you could increase that to say 250 or 300, you'd probably be in a better position. Try it and then feedback, and then we'll have a chat then. Okay, thanks for watching, and I will speak to you again soon.